कुछ नहीं होगा, है ना? नहीं तो जाएंगे थोड़ा डांटेंगे स्कूल वाले, ऐसे कर क्यों किया, हम ये तो नहीं जो सच है। वही इतना तो टेंशन नहीं। हाँ यार अभी हमारे स्कूल में मैथ्स का कंप्लीट करने सारे टीचर्स ऑलमोस्ट सारे टीचर्स का ट्रस्ट सारे लड़के से किया। अरे हमने किया उस स्कूल में दूसरा यूटी में क्या किया हमने? हाँ हमारे क्लास टीचर किसी और मतलब हमारे क्लास में कहते हैं पिया सुप्रिया नाम कुछ और लगा सुना प्रिया को बुला के सब डालने वाले थे एंड मुझे पूरा डालने सब लोग मिले ठीक है सर उसका क्वेश्चन का जब शांत हो गया ठीक है सबकी चेक में सब आई मैंने दिखाया उनको नाम तो क्या पता सच्ची बोल गया मेरे भी साथ में कितनी बहुत करती है साधु राष्ट्रपति सिंधी Lord Christians will not go according to Saturday's Saturday and Saturday's is Sabbath. Saturday. Then the rest here. पढ़ने नहीं तो स्पाइस मतलब God ने 10 days में 17 बनाई 10 बनाई और 7 को रेस्ट किया था 7 और दिन को संडे होता ना या फिर सैटरडे संडे तो स्कूल में अपने मन से छुट्टी देते हैं इट्स नॉट गवर्नमेंट जिससे होता है इसलिए कभी क्लास एग्जाम के टाइम पे तो पूरा एग्जाम संडे को ही होता है मतलब अगर जैसे ना एक एग्जाम के टाइम पे अचानक से छुट्टी दे दिया गवर्नमेंट ने तो मुझे एकदम छुट्टी दिया लगने से मेरी बात है वो मेरे साथ है मैं उनको शांत करके फोन करती अकेले प्रिंसिपल मेरे बहुत बड़ा है वो क्यों हो रहा है मतलब वो लोग से मैं फिजिक्स में रो रहा है कि कैमरा नहीं दे वो तेरा कैमरा मैंने नहीं दिया मैथ्स हमारा प्रोबेबिलिटी हो गया नहीं हुआ ये हो गया प्रोबेबिलिटी अच्छे अच्छे आते हैं मैंने अच्छे सारे साथ करना इजी करना प्रोबेबिलिटी इज इजी ना अभी वैसे स्कूल वाले जो चीजें हम स्टडी करते हैं अभी मुझे यहाँ नहीं तो मेरा प्रॉब्लम हो जाए तो दुनिया वाले को क्या बता देते हम ब्लैक पेन और ब्लैक पेन क्या खत्म हो गया सॉरी सुबह देखेगा वो ना जाओगे। Oh my God.
और जब मैं डेली वॉच होगी बाद में होगी।
अरे मैं स्कूल से सीधा क्लास में आया हूँ। सैटरडे की क्लास के दिन में यही था।
तेरा असाइनमेंट स्कूल पर कर क्या? स्कूल पर
यार स्कूल में ज़्यादा पढ़ना पसंद है। क्या पसंद है? साहित्य मेरा नाम दे दिया था। किसका क्या किसी बात कर रहे हैं? कैमरा। अच्छा।
भाई ये मेरे पीटी का
हमारी
भी सी ओए जी हमारी भी लो होती है
होती है बट
नहीं होती
साइड क्राइम नहीं
होती है उस कमेटी
वीडियो कॉल का नहीं होती है
हंस मैं रही हूँ वो मेरे दोस्त
यूएससी होती है हमेशा वीडियो कॉल मतलब यूएस चाइना रशिया
ये बट यूएस बहुत चुप है
पहला टाइम वीडियो मतलब कंट्री तो होगी यूएस पावर की वीडियो तो ये क्या है जिसमें के तो कैसे हुई थे
देख शेयर होगी पेपर से दिया नहीं है शेयर
याद देंगे
दिया में मांगे नहीं हम लोग पेपर लेते चेस और पास में करेंगे हमारा क्या
हाँ मैंने क्लास में कर लिया था
5000 3 ड्राफ्ट
या तो
हां पर प्रपोज की 5 ओके
5 लोग था ओके
तो मुझे 3 लोग का सिग्नेचर था
3 में
हाँ मुझे पता
तो पोस्ट तो हमारे ग्रुप में सारे डीआर भेजे थे प्रपोज दिया इनका जब चाइना को ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट था 5 पेज का था 4 पेज का था 5 पॉइंट्स थे ओके मुझे एक पॉइंट पता नहीं ना बोला कि वर्ड
स्विच करो ना स्विच प्लीज
तो इसमें
Sit. What happened? What about some schools exams? है क्या? Okay, now turn to the chapter on excretory system. We are only left with the questions. Let us complete with that questions. Those set of questions are left, and I think the process did we study the other day? What are the different concepts of ultrafiltration we had studied? No, that day. The week previous, the last week, we did not have a lecture. So the process we had already studied. What are the steps involved in the formation of the urine? Osmoregulation and the abnormal constituents of urine, only that is left. And we solved in the questions also today.
Osmoregulation is the maintenance of salt and water balance.
Salt and water balance. So the first thing that we talk about is the abnormal constituents of urine.
And do our skin cells go under osmosis?
Our skin cells
Go under osmosis.
Our skin cells show osmosis, no, because our skin cells, when we are talking about our skin cells, animal cells, we have got the cell membrane, but this cell membrane will not only show a rapid movement of the water, minimum movement of water by the process of diffusion, okay, but not osmosis, majorly osmosis, no, like because the concentration of the cells inside becoming concentrated every time, because we have not those group of organisms where the skin cells are constantly losing water and becoming concentrated. Minimal osmosis, diffusion, yes, but not majorly. Again, when we are talking about the cells of the urinary bladder, then we can say partly. Osmosis, there. Urinary bladder. Okay, now look into this last part. There's some important terms, concepts that you'll have to understand. The other day, what did we study? Ultrafiltration. What was ultrafiltration? If you refer to the diagram of the nephron. Refer to the diagram of the nephron and to always remember the basic stages of ultrafiltration. What happened? Now that we talk about the concept of ultrafiltration, just a short recap what we had discussed the other day. The process which is happening here, ultrafiltration. Glomerulus, how to define the word glomerulus? Today we'll do some set of questions and give you some extra, you should be able to understand and answer. Glomerulus, we had defined this the other day also. And then, after the process of ultrafiltration, the fluid, the filtrate that is formed will run down into the Bowman's capsule, which is a double-walled cup-shaped structure, hollow inside. What is the name of that filtrate? Glomerular filtrate. What is the major composition of the glomerular filtrate? Large amount of water, salts, few proteins, traces of urea, large amount of sodium, glucose, etc. That filtrate now starts moving down the tubule of the nephron. What are the three major regions of the tubular part of the nephron? The PCT, the loop of Henle, and the PCT. So as the filtrate starts moving down, the first part of the tubule, that is the PCT tubule, what will happen? The process that takes place is selective reabsorption. So let us imagine that surrounding, or it is to be understood this way, that this PCT, surrounding the PCT, what is there? A large network of blood vessels. Vasa recta, the secondary capillary network. So surrounding the PCT, there are a large network of blood vessels. And certain substances are moving from the tubule towards the blood. Substances are moving from the tubule towards the blood. What are those substances moving from the tubule towards the blood? A huge amount of water, sodium, glucose. So those are the substances all throughout. Those are the substances constantly moving from the tubule towards the blood. Which hormone is responsible for this process? ADH. Full form is? ADH. What is the anti-diuretic hormone. Anti-diuretic hormone is bringing about the entire process of reabsorption. What is the meaning of reabsorption? Diffusion of essential substances from the tubular part of the nephron towards the surrounding blood vessel. Then, as the filtrate moves down the loop of Henle, what is the process going on? Same, selective reabsorption. So when the filtrate has run down the loop of Henle, still the filtrate is dilute.
Why do some people take diuretics?
Why do some people take?
Diuretics.
Because when we are talking about the ADH secretion in certain people, ADH secretion may be much higher. Much higher. Inadequate secretion, if it is higher, then what will happen? The urine formation, the reabsorption will be too much. The reabsorption is becoming too much. Reabsorption should happen, almost about 90-95% should happen, or say suppose 80 to 90.
Increase the formation of urine.
Yes.
But here it is a substance that increase the formation of urine.
Diuresis.
The low secretion of diuretics.
Diuretics are chemical compositions. Acha, diuretics, you asked why do people take? Diuretics when the process of reabsorption is becoming much lesser because of the high release of ADH. That is what I said, no?
But like, what is the?
It will increase the reabsorption. See, when ADH secretion is high, ADH secretion will bring about what? Reabsorption. What is the meaning of reabsorption? Throw away 90% of water from the tubule towards the blood. That is the job of ADH. Certain individuals, if the ADH secretion is, I understand that the ADH secretion is supposed to be 2 ml per 100 ml of blood. For example, a person who has a secretion of 1 ml and a person who has a secretion of 4 ml, what is the difference? 2 ml में normal reabsorption हो रहा है, adequate amount of 1.5 liter of urine release हो रहा है.
But people
Listen first. So abhi, if the ADH secretion is becoming too much, the urine secretion will be much lesser. At that time, the person will have to take diuretics to increase the secretion of the urine. And diuresis is a condition where the secretion of urine is normally high. Abnormally high. Am I clear? Okay. The person is having a higher secretion of ADH. क्या होगा? A person is having higher secretion of ADH. ADH, if the person is secreting a larger amount of ADH, then the reabsorption is happening even much more. Reabsorption is much more.
So urine formation is less.
The urine formation is less. If the ADH is more, then the urine formation is this much. The urine formation is this much, या तो इससे भी कम. And if the ADH secretion is something around this, then the urine formation is 1 to 2 liters. I'm sorry, per day. ठीक है? So अभी ADH secretion, if it is more, the person is releasing less urine. अब urine secretion has to be increased. If urine secretion has to be increased, then specific substances known as or specific chemical substances, this has to be injected. This will bring down what? This will increase. This will increase the urine flow by bringing down the reabsorption. Matlab, what is happening to these people in the tubular region? Water is not remaining, all going to the blood. Water should be there adequate amount, then the urine flow. Only urine can throw away the urea from our body. No, only urine can throw away the uric acid. So, a person normally releasing out under diabetic conditions too much of urine, that is called diuresis. So first, that is the concept of diuretics. Okay. Let us now understand some abnormal constitution. So we were talking about that. The process of reabsorption, what is the relation of reabsorption and ADH? So I said, which are some of the regions of the nephron where the reabsorption happens? VCT, loop of Henle. What was happening in VCT but? When the fluid is in the DCT, which are the components which are still high? The components in the DCT, now that the fluid is in the DCT, the fluid is now having adequate amount of water, traces of sodium, traces of glucose, traces of proteins, and from the blood, uric acid diffusing in. This process is known as secretion. So from the surrounding blood vessel, urea coming in, uric acid coming in. So now that the fluid coming into the loop of the collecting duct, now that the fluid coming to the collecting duct, what is its composition? Large amount of urea, uric acid, traces of sodium, glucose, proteins, and water, just adequate amount to dissolve all these substances. The pigment, urochrome, so that was the composition we had studied. So if I go to this concept now, the abnormal constituents of urine. What is the composition of urine first of all when we are talking about the composition of the urine? The basic composition of the urine that you should know is it has got water, it has got traces of sodium, it has got traces of glucose. And then proteins, should it be more? No, a very small amount of proteins. What else? Urea should be in a higher concentration, uric acid should be in a higher concentration. Urea, uric acid should be in a higher concentration, and that is normal. Normal meaning till a particular level, of course. But we want to understand this. Now, if the amount of glucose in the urine becomes too much, more than the average, what is this condition known as? This is known as glycosuria. Glycosuria, a condition where the glucose concentration in the urea is comparatively higher. So if the glucose concentration is much higher, this is also what is known as diabetes mellitus. This is also what is known as diabetes mellitus. Two types of diabetes. With reference to ADH, we were talking about one type of diabetes the other day. What was it? With reference to ADH, what did I tell you? That, okay, if this is diabetes mellitus, then I want to differentiate diabetes mellitus with diabetes insipidus. What was it? Diabetes insipidus, what was the reason?
Deficiency
of sugar.
Huh? What is it?
Too much water in the urine.
Dilute urine.
Too much water.
Too much water. So I'm saying diabetes insipidus meaning what? Diabetes insipidus meaning deficiency or?
Clearly, but my friend once said that I am having diabetes insipidus. I don't remember. He was saying about this. And then he told me that I want to eat chocolate.
Anybody who is having an urge to eat too much of sugar can be a diabetic patient, but diabetes insipidus, if he is suffering from, you must have noticed that every often he must be asking to go for the washroom. His tendency for urination will be comparatively more. Normal individuals can, as it is, withstand for a period of 3 hours, 4 hours. But a person who is suffering from diuresis will generally have an urge quite often. 1 hour, 1.5 hours at the most. 1 hour also quite a number of times. 1 hour also is a big period for them. Okay. So diabetes insipidus, what is the reason? Always to remember, diabetes insipidus, the reason would be?
Diabetes insipidus depend on how much water you drink.
Depend on how much?
Water we drink.
No.
Yes, ma'am. Because
when we are talking about diabetes insipidus, this is because of under secretion of ADH.
but when there is too much water in the urine, it is colorless, right?
Faint yellow. Now, why it is not dependent on water intake? Because someday you are drinking maybe 2 bottles of water, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. At that particular period of time, the urge of urination may be more. But the next day, you are not consciously drinking that 2 bottles of water in 2 hours. Then the urge of urination is as normal after every 3 hours, 4 hours. But if it is a person who is suffering from diabetes, whether he is drinking 1 liter of water, half a liter of water, the urge of urination is always quite a lot, and not necessarily that he is every time releasing a large amount of urine, but there is a problem with the urinary tract and etc. The relaxation of the urinary bladder, all these things. So the urge is always much more. So let us talk about the first one. I am mentioning that what are some of the abnormal constituents. What is glycosuria? When is it caused? And what is the abnormal condition also known as? Glycosuria meaning high concentration, hyper secretion of glucose. Large amount of glucose in the blood, and if that is what it is, that can also be known as diabetes mellitus. Remember? And now that I talk about what is the difference between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus, this is a very, very common question in your paper. Diabetes mellitus, of course, now that we talk about the endocrine gland chapter, then again we are going to come across this. Excuse me. This is because of the under-secretion of insulin. This one. So right now I am not talking about insulin because in this chapter there is no reference. Bolo?
Can we hereditary also?
Partly. Partly.
Which one?
This one. Partly. So when we are talking about, this is known as, when we are talking about type 2 diabetes, this is called type 2 diabetes. No? So this is hereditary partly. But again, not necessary that parents suffering children will suffer, as I said. So now this is because of the under deficiency of or under secretion of insulin. This is because of under secretion of insulin. So this is one thing to understand. Then next is let us talk about that proteins. Now there is one type of a protein in the blood. Now the proteins present in the blood, what are some of the most common proteins present in the blood? There is one fibrinogen, there is one albumin and globulin. These are the three major proteins in the blood. Now I would say that if there is one particular component that is known as albumin, which is supposed to be in traces in the urine, because it is a major component, major protein of the blood. So it is supposed to be traced in the urine, but at times we come across that this albumin is at a higher concentration. So these are the people who are suffering from generally problems of deposition of fat in the arteries, veins, heart, etc. So albumin is a type of a protein which is present in the blood. Albumin generally helps in the different type of cell membranes, helps in the formation. And at the same time, when we are talking about albumin, it helps in other different type of reactions, synthetic processes of the cell.
And the eggs,
Albumin.
chicken also contain
Albumin, the white part. So when we are talking about the albumin, this albumin high concentration will result in albuminuria. So when we are talking about so this words, take a note. Albuminuria. Albuminuria is a condition. What is albuminuria? Albuminuria is a condition where the albumin is present in a higher concentration in the urine. So this is one. Then next is when we are talking about one more condition where the water. We talk about the water. Already I mentioned if the water is again present in a higher concentration in the urine. What do we call this condition as? This condition is known as diuresis.
Now, can we say that diabetes insipidus is caused during diuresis?
Diabetes insipidus,
Is caused
the
during
major
diuresis.
symptom is diuresis. Diuresis is the condition name,
Okay.
and diuresis is the major symptom, frequent urination. That is called diuresis. So now, when we are trying to understand the basic abnormal constituents, at the same time, what should be the color of the urine? The color of the urine slightly yellowish because of the presence of urochrome. Should there be any blood cells, red blood cells, etc.? When we are talking about any presence of the red blood cells, etc., this is an indication that the person may be suffering from any type of a kidney-related disorder, kidney stones, tumor, cancer, etc., etc. These are the indications. So when we are talking about hematuria, when we are talking about that in the urine, there are traces of blood or adequate amount of blood cells present. This particular condition is known as hematuria. So what is hematuria?
hematuria or hematuria.
Hematuria or hematuria, any way you pronounce it, not a problem there. So when we are talking about, when we are looking into what are some of the major
Spellings.
HAE.
HAE.
HAE. So now when we are talking about hematuria, what it is, these are the three conditions that we'll have to remember. What is diuresis? What is glycosuria? What is albuminuria and hematuria? What are the three or four important abnormal constituents? Now we were talking about that in a higher content of protein, albumin, a higher content of albumin in the urine.
There are three proteins: fibrinogen,
Albumin and globulin.
globulin.
Albumin. Now globulin and fibrinogen we are not talking about right now, only this one. And globulin and albumin, these are always helping in the formation. Say suppose when we are talking about the entire process of formation, repairing of the cells, formation of the new cells in our body, repairing of the cells of our body. At that time, these proteins play a very important role. And also when we are talking about the entire process of blood clotting and all, they have a role to play. So now that we are talking about important constituents, this is one concept. Now, osmoregulation, what it is? The entire process of osmoregulation separately, you are not studying anything. This entire concept that we are talking about, that right from here all throughout the length of the nephron, what is this process going on? Ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, secretion, and the urine here in the collecting duct. By the time the urine is in the collecting duct, the blood has restored back its volume, the blood has restored back its composition. But when the process of ultrafiltration had happened here, what was the difference? The blood flowing out in the efferent arteriole was very thick. The composition of the blood in the efferent arteriole was extremely disturbed. It has given away so much of water, it has given away all its salt and glucose and etc. But by the time the blood, again we get to see in the renal vein, by the time the blood is there in the renal vein, we understand that the composition is more or less restored there. Efferent is thinner, afferent is broader. The blood flowing in the efferent is always thicker, and this is always the blood is in a watery state, meaning in the fluid state. And when we are talking about the difference between the renal artery and the renal vein, the composition difference and all these things, you have to remember that. Osmoregulation, what are you supposed to understand? A basic definition only you are always getting in the exam there. You will only get that type of a question, nothing apart from that. What is meant by osmoregulation and what are you supposed to write down? The entire process of maintenance of water and salt balance in the blood. How is the maintenance of salt and water balance achieved? By the process of filtration of the blood. What are the steps of filtration? Majorly, reabsorption is a process which helps in maintenance of the salt and water balance. So, reabsorption takes place in a larger part of the nephron. Reabsorption takes place in a larger part of the nephron, and that is how the maintenance of the salt and the water balance. So, the blood gets back its adequate amount of electrolytes, the sodium, potassium, chlorides. The blood gets back its adequate amount of the water so that it can maintain its fluid state. So, reabsorption is necessary? Yes. What is the significance of reabsorption? Maintains the volume and the composition of the blood. And what is this process known as? Osmoregulation. Again, for the process of osmoregulation also, indirectly ADH plays a role. Unless and until we talk about the adequate amount of the ADH present, the process of reabsorption also would not have been achieved. So, look into some of underline some of these words. If you see that the gout and the kidney stones also in that blue box, the gout and kidney stones, what are these? These are deposits. Yes, tell me first.
During osmoregulation, osmoregulation can also be affected by.
Acha. Abhi, okay.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, so we continue. So, what else?
Osmoregulation is also affected. Is it also affected by our digestive processes and the intake of nutrients and water we do?
Intake of water a little bit. Intake of water a little bit, but not. Osmoregulation is not affected by what type of food we eat.
But it is also maintaining salt balance.
Salt balance, but what is the amount of the salt that is required to be in our blood? It is just in few milligrams. It's not in grams, no. So adequate amount of the salt, if I talk about the sodium and the chlorides majorly, it is just in the average concentration is what in a range of few milligrams to hardly 1 to 2 grams. That much only. So that much is as it is normal diet can as it is supplement that. On top of that, we as it is have a habit of taking extra amount of salt along with so many other different type of food items. So it is not that each one of us, the type of osmoregulatory processes will differ. More or less, even if you are not concentrating on any other extra intake of substances, proteins, etc., that does not differ the process. Meaning, on an average, each one of us, the regular diet that we take, the process of osmoregulation is more or less the same. But yes, amount of uric acid and all, that depends because the protein food that each one of us we eat is not the same. Amount of salt and glucose more or less the same. The type of proteins that we eat, that varies, majorly varies because that's a type of a food we eat in bulk quantities. You know? So there, the chances of having uric acid, urea more in the blood depends on our diet. So tendency of a person to develop kidney stones, etc. and etc., that again depends on the diet. But osmoregulation is a regular process. That small amount of the sodium and the chlorides and etc. can as it is be maintained in the blood like a normal process of ultrafiltration, etc. We'll complete with the questions today. Gout. When we are talking about gout and kidney stones, simple. Gout majorly again is deposition of certain type of nitrogenous compounds. But deposition of these nitrogenous compounds where quite a number of times in different parts of the excretory system, different parts of the, if you remember the last time we had seen the section, the longitudinal section of the kidney. So it can be in the different regions of the cortex, different regions of the medulla, and also in the ureter, etc. also. So now they are disturbing the movement of the fluid. But how? Because whenever we talk about the excess amount of the protein intake, they will result in the deposition of these type of substances, high amount of amines, high amount of amino acids, they may get deposited in different parts of the kidney or in different parts of the excretory system. And if you look into gout and kidney stones, certain type of food items have got some chemical substances which are not completely broken down, especially when we talk about certain type of seeds having high concentration of calcium oxalate, potassium components. Potassium components and calcium oxalate, these are very, actually in small amounts our body can tolerate, but if you are consuming them in very high amounts, then that becomes toxic for our body, dangerous for our body. So they solidify in period of time, they solidify and they get deposited in the joints. When we talk about uric acid deposition,
Joints to the vessels, right? The blood vessels.
Blood vessels, in the blood vessels, but majorly at the joints, ankle, heels, etc., resulting in swelling. So that is kidney. That is the gout. That is when we are talking about the uric acid deposits. That is gout. Kidney stones in and around the excretory system, in and around the section of the kidney that we understand. Underline some of these words. You'll have to read that blue box also. Let us go through that progress check just after the blue box.
What
Yes.
happens in the condition of dehydration, like extreme dehydration and water
Dehydration is a condition where
for
the
osmoregulation?
body body is having insufficient water. Insufficient water definitely means the process of filtration and all these things are not happening properly. The urine secretion is very, very less. If you remember, just for an example, I was telling you that if the urine secretion is lesser than 0.5 ml, that is considered to be dangerous. So at that time, if the secretion of urine is too less, then what is the scare? What is the problem? The problem is the urea is getting deposited in the blood. The blood is becoming venous. The blood is becoming toxic at that time. Can the intestines throw away the urea? No, the intestines cannot throw away the urea. We don't have any other methods, parts of our body which can throw away the urea except for the kidneys.
So basically the kidneys don't form because of the excess uric acid.
Uric acid and calcium, potassium oxalates. Calcium, potassium oxalates are there in different type of food items itself, especially when we talk about seeds and all, various different type of seeds, food items itself has got this type of components, and along with certain type of medicines and etc. if it enters the body. Okay, so let us complete with some of these questions, then I'll just show you one basic idea, a figure explaining the basic concept of artificial filtration. Let us go to this progress check. True, false, take those set of questions first. The blood flows to the glomerulus. Can you see this? Just above osmoregulation. Just above osmoregulation, those set of questions. Flows to glomerulus under great pressure. True. Glomerular filtrate consists of many substances: water, salts, glucose, white blood corpuscles. Glomerular filtrate consists of many substances: water, salts, glucose, white blood corpuscles. All of you, no talking, no talking. For this 1 hour, you need not talk. Take out your book, complete that exercise. Fast, all of you. Where's your book? Complete that exercise, all of you, fast. You come here, no? Lunch, come here. Come here. Fast. Done? Okay, so the second one, what about the second one? Is that true, false? Complete wherever there's a doubt, clarify. Complete the exercise, no talking. Complete your exercise fast. Done? All done? Go to the next now. Any doubt there? Yes, sir. Which one? Third one. Sodium chloride contained in the glomerular filter, that one, is fully reabsorbed in the renal tubule. Is it fully reabsorbed? No. Partially, because traces of sodium and glucose is always there in the urine. Traces of sodium and glucose always there in the urine. Okay, continue now. Go ahead with the MCQ. All done? Creatinine. Creatinine is another nitrogenous waste substance. That is also another nitrogenous waste produced in our body. Now the nitrogen. Now see the MCQ there. Okay, now one after the other you answer. Come on, otherwise you take a lot of time. Start from here. Maybe some questions will be different in your book. Tell me that time. Number one, not the progress check. MCQ. We start with the first no. Process of removal of unwanted metabolic waste is next. Organ that does not belong to excretory system. Uterus. Organ that does not belong is uterus. Go to the next. Structural and the functional unit is nephron. Next is not an example of secretion. Not an example of secretion. Urine. Not an example of secretion. Go to the next. Number 5. Discharges the urine at the nephrons. Discharge the urine at pelvis. Pelvis. Next. Number 6. Kidney. Is it kidney? Did not I teach the other day? Organs, waste substances, liver. It is liver. Main nitrogenous waste. Main nitrogenous waste. Urea. Main nitrogenous waste, urea, uric acid, creatinine, ammonia is not a major nitrogenous waste for us at all. No, if I talk about the nitrogenous waste formed in the body, decomposition is a different concept. Talk about the nitrogenous waste formed in the body, any organism, ammonia formed in our body in just small amounts. For the aquatic organisms, ammonia is a major component. For us, terrestrial organisms, urea is a major component followed by uric acid, creatinine. Number 8.
Some reason for being liver? I don't know.
Because whenever we are talking about the process of absorption, after absorption, where does the amino acids and the glucose and the fatty acids, where do they travel? They all travel into the liver. So it is in the liver where the further processing of those nutrients are done. That's why.
Question 4.
Number
Question
4.
Not an example of
Secretion. Because urea is not produced by a gland.
अच्छा.
जो एक gland produce करेगा, group of cells produce करेगा, उसको बोलेंगे secretion. That is secretion. Understood? And this is excretion, released out by a part of the body. Number 8. Just glycosuria. Number 9. Accumulation of high quantities of urea in the body is known as uremia. Uremia. Accumulation of high quantities of urea in the body, in the blood, is known as uremia. Next. Tubular secretion, where does it take place? Distal. DCT. Distal. DPT is a vaccine. DCT. Distal convoluted tubule. Name the following. Karo now next. Fast. Or B. Acha. The next one. Say. Still that number. Next. What is next? New book. Batao. Mine is also the same. New book. What is the next question? Karo fast. अरे तुम लोग के पास भी पुराना बुक है. You are going to write the exam. अरे नहीं मामा next हो गया. MCQ all done. Who is having the new book? Read out. New book किसके पास है?
A biology teacher asked the students to give 2 examples of organic constituents in the urine that are also nitrogenous waste produced by the human body. Person A said urea and ammonia. Person B said ammonia and creatinine. Person C said urea and uric acid. Person D said creatinine and urea.
Answer क्या है? Creatinine.
Urea, ammonia, urea, uric acid.
What is it? What are the options? Urea, uric acid है और
urea, ammonia,
urea, uric acid, creatine, and
Urea, uric acid.
and then
Urea and
you have to choose two.
Two options. And what is the other one?
Urea, ammonia, ammonia,
Okay, let me show you now.
Urea, ammonia. Urea,
So
uric
AMC.
acid. Urea, uric acid, urea, ammonia.
AC.
Done? Go to the next. Not do doubts. पहले ही आंसर कंप्लीट करो अदरवाइज ये इस चैप्टर में नहीं आएंगे डाउट्स बाद में हां ठीक है फटाफट next class I have to start with the next chapter I will start enough of this last week only I wanted to complete this chapter करो फटाफट क्वेश्चन कंप्लीट करो हां करो complete fast name the following now go to the outer region of the kidney containing Bowman's capsule what is it outer region containing the Bowman's capsule is cortex. उसके पहले है तो read out the statements I don't have to read like
Okay. Assertion. Kidneys eliminate urea and water only during excretion. Urea is reason. Hold on.
हाँ
Reason. Urea is the most poisonous nitrogenous waste of the body, so it must be excreted out as early as possible.
हाँ so both the statements are they true false
Let me read this.
the first statement is
Kidneys eliminate urea and water only during excretion.
urea kidney releases out
Eliminates urea and water only during excretion.
kidney releases out urea and water only during excretion क्यों false क्यों excretion के बिना how can the kidney release out if the statement is urea is released only during excretion then the statement is wrong
Because it's sweat also.
by sweat also
Kidneys don't-
but kidney is releasing only by micturition no other way so both the statements are true options क्या है check करो अभी options
And
अभी
A is true, R is false. A is false, R is true.
R false कैसे हो गया
I mean,
नहीं first question का बताओ
Both
both are right.
Both A and R.
both A and R are false.
चलो go to the next question
But
go to the next
Assertion. Renal artery carries deoxygenated blood full of hydrogen base. Reason. Most of the arteries carry oxygenated blood, but there are exceptions.
renal artery carry
Deoxygenated blood.
false है
So first and then second is most arteries contain oxygenated blood, but they are accepted.
true है false है and next is true
Pulmonary arteries.
हाँ go to the third go to the third
Efferent arteriole is wider than the afferent arteriole. False. The difference in the size of the diameter of these arterioles create a high pressure known as hydrostatic pressure.
correct
Hydrostatic.
I explained you that the difference in the diameter afferent and efferent creates a hydrostatic pressure in the glomerular capillaries वो correct है हाँ that is correct the previous point is false go ahead
Assertion. Urea is the condition in which the blood passes with urine due to some infection in the urinary tract, kidney stone or tumor.
हाँ
Reason. An excessive number of RBCs and hemoglobin is produced in the bone marrow. So these are excreted out in the urine. A
नहीं
is true, R is false.
false A is true R is false go ahead next
last one.
हाँ
Hematuria is the condition in
हेमाच्यूरिया नहीं होता है हेमाट्यूरिया इट इज नॉट हेमाच्यूरिया हाँ बोला
This started circulating system, and our teacher was saying that in mature RBCs there is no nucleus and there is no mitochondria.
no there is no Golgi also There is-
that is also not there, but I doubt in this. Why don't they have mitochondria? How do they survive? उनकी energy बहुत बनाता है.
they don't need energy
So are they living or dead?
they have a very short lifespan they have a short lifespan उनका they are just dummy cells in our body जिनको they are only meant for some work carry the oxygen from the they are just like laborers in our body carry the oxygen from the lungs to the tissues. Only that much. They themselves cannot utilize oxygen. They themselves, they're just typical laborers. They can only do the work. They cannot enjoy anything for themselves. That is the concept. Acha, now this some of these you'll have to do it as homework because you all are keep on asking too much of doubts and we are not able to finish with the question. Now name the following. Some you do at home. The diagram-based questions we'll do the next class. Some of them, and we'll start with the next chapter, the next class. So name the whatever chapter you want for your exams next. Chemical coordination. How many of you want? Chemical. Now, what are the portion for your next exam? You specify. Otherwise, suddenly you don't come up with this many portions left. Check. Keep checking. Which are the portion for your next exam and how many we are done. Huh? नहीं कैसे first exam में all portion complete portion. अच्छा now the next exam is November. August or entire portion. अच्छा. So okay, we'll start with circulator. Then now this listen. All these short answer questions, some of these short answer questions you try as homework. Try all of you will look into. You know that the next day you open the book is next Friday. Complete this set of the questions and the diagram based question, that is E only, we will do in the class together. The rest of these you try, jahan pe doubt hai mark karke lao and we will go a bit fast. Okay.
Ma'am, what happens during water toxicity? Like too much of water intake.
If we take too much of water, what will happen? Too much meaning what? More than 4 liters, more than 5 liters if a person is consuming. It is not flushing out a day. It is not that too much of water and flushing out. It's not like that. Now what happening? The blood is becoming too dilute, creating too much of pressure in the kidneys. And quite a number of times, these fine tubules in the kidneys, they may become, they may extend quite a lot. So the efficiency of the process of filtration gets affected. Quite a number of times, the blood vessels get ruptured because of the high pressure.
That's why it is said to be dangerous.
So 3 liters, when we understand that more, we should drink a lot of water. That does not mean 5-6 liters. At the most 3.5 liters, nothing beyond that. That is enough to throw away.
And if the person is doing physical activity, then also.
Even if the person is doing physical activity, so then also the amount of water that a normal human can consume, because along with food also so much of fluid going, no? And we are only talking about just water, 3 to 3.5 liters. Doctors also will prescribe not more than 2 liters, 3 liters of water. 4-5 liters, 4 liters at the most. There is no need beyond that. Our body can, as it is, throw away the waste.
And ma'am, uterus is useless, because it is not used in the excretory system. So it is useless unless and until childbirth.
Uterus is not a part of the
It is just present.
It is not a part of the excretory system.
No, I understood that. So it is just present. Until and unless a woman is conceiving, it is just present.
It is only an organ to bring about the entire process of development of the fetus.
Oh, okay. So nothing else. I thought it is there in the excretory
regular functioning. No regular functioning as such. Only for the process of child.
मुझे लियाना ने बताया, लेकिन फिर मैं आया ऊपर, मुझे मैम ने बोला कि अब तू आई है तो टेस्ट दे, लेकिन मेरा आंसर क्या है हिस्ट्री का, दैट वाज वर्ल्ड वॉर राइट ऑफ डिक्टेटरशिप।
अच्छा हिस्ट्री
दिया फिर बैठ के आधा घंटा